It also brings to the fore the conversation about gold and, Galamsey. And I've seen a picture of, the Pra River taken about a year ago or a few months ago, and a recent one that was taken just a few days ago.
Okay. The one
It doesn't look any different. If you ask me, I think it's even worse off now.
Yes, it's more
than when,
darker,
exactly,
creamy, dark.
So we're not fighting Galamsey in this country because with all the allegations flying about, this one says let's petition Shraj. Yesterday I watched Ghana Tonight where the Commissioner for Shraj spoke, and he says that all allegations that were leveled against Professor Frimpong, because there was some, petition that was put forth by, a citizen of this country, and he was raising concerns about the professor allegedly owning a mining company and going into illegal mining and not paying, mining license fees and all that. Shraj has cleared the professor of all those allegations as well. But the professor, of course, also has, a report that he forwarded to the president some 2 years ago, which never really saw the light of day until recently when it was leaked. And that has also generated a whole lot of controversy. One says, I didn't do it. One says, I'm not involved. But the real question is, with all these things that are happening, do we really care about our environment? Do we care about Ghanaian citizens? Because we're told that our water bodies are messed up. And if we don't take care, we're going to start importing water in the shortest possible time. Has anybody really ever thought of the implications of that and how we're going to suffer? And are they really doing anything about it? Because clearly you don't see much beyond just announcing that, okay, we've launched operation this, operation that. We go in there after 2 weeks, 1 month, nobody talks about it again. And then we realize that the situation is even more dire than what it was before. We're kidding as a country.
Yeah,
we really are.
I think the best thing that has happened as far as to reveal government's commitment to this whole Galamsey fight is this report that has been leaked.
Yeah.
And if you look at the conversation in the public domain, and especially the ones coming from communicators of government, is that the distinguished professor, might have leaked the report himself. Nobody knows that. Okay? And then secondly, he owned a mining company before his party even was elected in 2016.
Exactly.
And the gentleman really who petitioned Shraj is, among other things, saying there were conflict of interest situations, and not because the mining company was mining illegally or the way Galamsey is undertaken.
It's done,
Do you understand? So I know that it's not a good time for government to have negative press as far as this is concerned, or negative public opinion or perception among the public deepening about how government is committed to Galamsey or not. But the reality is that for many of the times, the reports that we have picked up, either as 3 News or any of our outlets under the umbrella of Media General as a group, and then those that have been picked up by leading media houses across the country, it hasn't been good. If you go to communities in rural areas, where areas that did not flood when it rained and are now flooded, and the water is all this spiced up, creamy water, flood water, then I think that we have to hold ourselves responsible.
We do.
And I think the foremost responsibility is with the president.
Yeah.
And the president, nobody held his neck because it was a media undertaking, a consortium of media people who decided that, we want to have this initiative. And government came on board. Now government comes, led by the president, and we have a leaked report. I think the best thing that the presidency could have done was to own up to it and say, look, I think there was something wrong that was done here. Either we didn't act early enough, or I didn't act early enough on this report, instead of just saying everything in there is just hearsay and an opinion by a minister responsible or who was responsible for the sector. It doesn't do us any good. Let's look at our lands, our river bodies. They're terrible. Who do we blame? It just doesn't look good. And this is an eyesore, really.
It is.
It is an eyesore.
It is. That to know that it's even worsened, when the man who says he was willing to put his presidency on the line to ensure that we fight Galamsey, and we see the states of our forest reserves. I mean, literally, this is what is happening, to the extent that people are even mining in their own homes at the moment. So we saw photos of holes that were dug in people's bedrooms looking for gold. Has it gotten to that level? Oh,
it has. And Bella, if we can't make conclusions, as far as this report by Professor Frimpong Boateng is concerned, then I'll be surprised, because the aspect where he says that there was a youth organizer of the ruling MPP in the constituency where the president's house is located, or his home constituency, for which he was even a former member of parliament. And he even says that his garden, they had dug close to his garden and it had affected his walls. It's in the report. But it's not as if that this scenario that has been painted in this report by Professor Frimpong is in isolation. It is a situation where we have our own report. Ibrahim Abubakar did a report of a farmer who decided to give out his own land. And the land is not far away and he's living somewhere else.
Yeah.
He's living on the land. He's given a portion of the land out for Galamsey people to mine. And the problem with Galamsey is that it is not done sustainably or to be environmentally friendly. And that is the difficulty with it. Nobody's saying don't mind. If, let's say, we had Anglo Gold Ashanti or Goldfields or all the mining companies that do deep shaft mining, or let's say they do surface mining, the big ones, and we're not doing it well, would we have met the environment that we came to meet? And it's a big question we all tend to debate. Look, there's even a bigger debate out there that cocoa farmers are willing to give out their farmlands. And cocoa is the biggest cash crop we have. Since the president said Gejisbegian economy, he's going to change that. Since the days of Gejisbeg, cocoa, it's still up to today. Now, our main source of foreign exchange, we are letting the farmers down by giving them an opportunity to make a choice. Do we give it to young boys who are hungry, who are sponsored by politicians and other business people, politically exposed persons, than us farming and we'll get nothing? It's a decision that talks about a livelihood of a person. And Bella, anybody will take that decision.
Of course. And you see, it's not even just Ghana. But and I keep talking about African leadership, and I keep asking, where did we go wrong? Because if you watch Gold Mafia carefully and you see the level of corruption and the level at which gold is smuggled out of the country in Zimbabwe, and the people that are involved, the positions that they hold, you wonder, have we been cursed? I mean, what really is the problem? Because we have all the resources, and everybody knows that when it comes to riches, Africa should be the richest continent in the world because we have literally everything. And yet we have people in here who are supposed to know better, even conniving with a lot of criminals around the world to pillage our resources and leave us in the situation that we are in. So honestly, as a Ghanaian, you should not be poor. Where you are sitting now, the situation you find yourself in, if we had leaders who were really concerned about our livelihood and our progress, I don't think that we should be struggling the way we are struggling at the moment. We should be far better than we are. But again, there are some greedy people who, unfortunately, will continue to remain the big men and the big women in society, and they're the ones that are causing this level of havoc. How angry are we as Ghanaians? Because it's not enough. I mean, it's the same thing. I remember when the Japa report, Martin Amidu came out with a whole report on it, and we all cried foul, we were shouting, and then it ended there. Nobody really went beyond that, as Ghanaian citizens. And it's happening again. We're seeing it right in our faces. It's a major problem.
Yes, it is.
And we need to wake up.
Yes, it is. I think 2 or 3, 4 years ago, there was a report. And it's a UN body or a body that monitors the environment. The volume of, or the quantity of rosewood, we say leave our shores.
Yeah.
I mean, legally. And the one that is reported in China, if they match those figures, they just don't sink. There's a great deficit or disparity. How do they go through our ports?
Yeah.
Because it's not as if that it's not as if that the exports that are undertaken or all those freights are just going out of thin air. No. And so they vanish and then they appear somewhere in China or the developed world. No. And because we have the resources, how we get our people to manage it is very important. If you go and say this, oh, you are too no. You sit on TV, you don't know anything, so we'll leave it to them. But at the end of the day, what is left for the next generation? Your generation,
Let's listen to the president when he made a statement on what he was going to do to ensure that we fight Galamsey in this country.
I took the decision that that would be a betrayal of the trust that the Ghanaian people put in me on the 7th of January this year. And as a result, we established this committee within the government to design a policy for us, not just to stop it, to reclaim the land, to let our rivers work again, but also to see how we can figure a way for all these able-bodied young men who are involved in this activity to find an alternative livelihood. So it's a package. It's a package that we have designed to try and bring this menace to a conclusion. I've said it in the cabinet, and perhaps it's the first time I'll be saying it in public. I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter. I've heard it being said that I should be careful. Many of these people voted for me, and if I continue this exercise, perhaps they will not vote for me again. If by the grace of God I'm in a position, my party allows me to go again, and I have the health and everything to go again, that I'll not get it again. And I'll say to myself, well, this is a choice that all of us have to make as human beings. Do you do what you think is right, or do you do what you think will allow you to get along? I think that you do what you think is right. That is what you're required to do.
But the question then would be that are the officials doing what is right, or they are doing what they think will get them
But the
along?
president is the biggest supervisor of these officials.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying, all of them, literally.
Bella, do you remember the president went out there, had interaction? I think it was with African leaders and then France. And then he said that we have to make sure as a continent, we don't go to the superpowers, the BRICS, we don't go to the Paris Club, the multilateral partner, go and collect money, and that we have everything in Africa.
Were we
and
not at the IMF at that time when he made that statement?
We were. But of course, soon we went out. And you take a look at all that. And it's sometimes when the president talks, find English. Find English. But to be able to actualize some of those things becomes a difficulty. Yeah, we have free SHS, we have some of the things that are helping many people who cannot afford school. But even then, the president has been adamant, even in those instances when solutions or suggestions have been made. For example, us going to the IMF, suggestions were made long ago. And the foremost one, and thank God it's not a politician, the foremost one is from an academic who is a regular on this show. And Professor Lord Benson did say back in 2019
that we should go to the IMF.
By the close of that year, said, please, I know that you've gone now, but please go back.
So this was before COVID-19?
Exactly. Because we just don't have the discipline, if you take a look at it, to see that we will take ourselves through all these things. And what have we done? Since 2017, we go there, we go to the market, go and borrow $3 billion. We come and nanny the money. It makes Ghana city plenty.
Then they'll blame us and say it's because we're not paying e-levy.
So 2018, $3 billion. 2019, billion.
Charlie.
COVID year, we decided to suspend the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
And we went beyond.
Then, after COVID, we had the realities. And we also have to communicate to the people that all the things, when we go and meet the Bretton Woods institutions and our partners, we come back to tell ourselves are not true. Because just from the spring meeting, the finance minister did say we'll get the bailout by May, right? But if you look at the latest itinerary of the IMF, Ghana is not part of the countries that will be met by the IMF board.
We're not included.
So what happened? So we have to tell ourselves that we say that those who invested in our instrument or are exposed are going to recover all their money plus interest and principal in 2036, 37, 38. So that's when we're going to recover. We should be telling those things to ourselves.
We should.
So that if any politician comes to promise you that I will buy you a car, when we know that it's not a car, the person can buy you a bicycle, then we tell the person in the face, you can't buy us a car. Why are you telling us you can buy us a car?
Anyway, let's go to the Accra-Tema motorway and take a look at the state of the toll booths. Today we were there, and I mean, it's literally falling apart.
This is the state of the booth.
Yes.
Dangling wires.
So this is when you're coming from Tema. This is what it looks like. And like I said, so those slabs you see there that are partly painted yellow, some of them are literally in the middle of the, you know, the road signs or the linings on the road. And so if you don't take care, especially if you're driving in the evening, you're going to drive into that. And a lot of people apparently have driven into it and either lost their lives, broken bones, legs, etc. And so this is from one man who is stationed there and actually takes care of that place. So if you see that orange sign on there, or whatever it is called, a reflector more like. So this was put up by one of the gentlemen who keeps the place clean. And he says it's because at that particular point, a lot of cars run into the slabs there because they can't see, because it's really dark at night. There's no light whatsoever there. The traders are complaining there are no lights. And in fact, he says that since, you know, the minister declared that we're not going to collect tolls again, armed robbers have attacked these toll booths and stolen the windows, the equipment, literally everything. They've literally robbed the place of everything that makes it look like a toll booth. So those windows there, you're supposed to see some glass windows there. Unfortunately, they have been robbed. So that's the situation. There's no security at the toll booths at all.
Bella, you know,
nothing.
The problem with the motorway is that the motorway is not only old, it has passed its prime or span of existence.
Yeah.
So ideally, when the vice president said we're going to build, I believe in 2019, concrete roads, when he went to Tema as part of the Tema expansion and then the road network expansion project, the Chinese also decided to do some small distance of concrete roads. He used it for a message that government was now going to focus on concrete. Well in that. But the motorway is killing people unless it doesn't rain. Those who are not familiar with that road, they get accidents all the time.
Yeah.
If you're never familiar with the motorway, please
speed.
Hasten slowly.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the motorway, in the evening, you can make a choice not to ply that route, use another detour to wherever you're going, if you can.
Yeah.
Because the motorway has now become so dangerous that our engineers decided to be patching the motorway that was initially built by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah with cement, with bitumen. How cement and bitumen are compatible, I don't know. Because I know water and oil, they can't mix together.
Mix.
This one, we have cement and then bitumen, oil.
We saw like a manhole literally in the middle of the road. And I don't know if we have that footage to show. It was literally a manhole. And so if you're speeding, if you make a mistake and you run into that, you're probably going to somersault.
You know
it's that bad.